Wow, so Assassin's Creed. If I wasn't incredibly far in the future, 2019, I might have said that Assassin's Creed wasn't going to make it as a series because it has some things that just feel so awkward and strange. And for the date that the first game was released, it seemed pretty bad at the time. Other games were doing things better. But then on the flip side of it, on the rave side of it, there's some things that Assassin's Creed just did so well. And you think, oh wow, I'm glad they had at least a few of the sequels in order to explore that a bit further and do some of these mechanics a little bit better. So, a very mixed, down the middle rant and rave here. Wow, the controls. They just make me want to scream. There's at least 3 buttons that you hold down to get the top speed run, and if you're not using the top speed run, you're not going to get away from anybody. So you're holding down these 3 buttons, and any kind of lapse on any of them, or if you're just, you're just straight up not holding them because you haven't got into a full speed run yet, you trip over everything in a different way depending on what combination of these buttons you're holding, and even if you are holding them all, he may just do some kind of crazy flip off and nothing while you're trying to just run. You're trying to get away as fast as possible, and he will just flip over some box or up a wall that doesn't go anywhere or into a person. Oh my lord, he just does not stop fumbling like crazy while you're trying to run. Just having one button for run, you're either running or you're not, and if you imagine a load of danger warning exclamation triangles, danger here, symbols, all over everything, all over the screen, just any combination of these buttons just flags up like another 20 of these alerts, just like, do not run into this, that guy, that wall, don't try and drop off of this. It is crazy. It is not very fluid at all. And just like any game needs good controls, this one, you're trying to very quickly, stealthily kill someone and then get away, and you're fumbling on the way in, so that's not very stealthy. You're trying to get away, and the controls are fighting against you, so you're not getting away either. So you're having problems getting in and out for an assassination job, and it's just ball ache. So the believability of the world. How cool is it in 2007 where most games, a town is made of 4 houses and 6 NPCs, and it doesn't even look like any of them are related to each other, so there's not even enough housing for the 6 NPCs, because they're not paired up in any way. You don't have a believable town there. 6 guys, 4 houses. But Assassin's Creed, wow! You've got what is essentially a real city going on. There's all these people, and if you're standing in the middle of a real town, people are just moving. They don't stop and say, "Look at me, I'm the one important guy." Maybe you got 1 or 2 guys standing around, and they've stopped. But a lot of people are just moving through. They're just part of the background. They're part of the bustle. And Assassin's Creed really captures that. There's a few town crier guys standing around, and they're permanently there, and maybe the guards are guarding something, but most people are just moving through, and it just looks great. This is absolutely amazing. The amount of NPCs on the screen making a believable universe, and you can look all the way down the street. There's some really long streets in Assassin's Creed, and it's just like, wow, I'm not restricted to the amount of people around me for the NPC bustle. It's just happening all the way down there, so it doesn't look crummy like a lot of games. You come in and, like I say, you've got barely any NPCs at all, and there's no one in the distance because they're not very well built, and I don't know. There's a lot of games where every NPC has to have a huge purpose. There's not enough just a guy. He's just walking through. There's just like you arrive at that village that I'm talking about with the 6 NPCs in it, and each one of them is major plot point because there's no room for even any basic NPCs. They don't have any writing for them. They don't have anything for them to do. They can't handle a lot of them on the screen. So Assassin's Creed is brilliant here. That's the part where it really gets the points. Graphically, it looks great. I've got the little hack that you may have noticed when I'm doing the Let's Play, which allows you to play in a 21:9 aspect ratio, which is gigantic. The engine handles it just fine. There's a little bit of pop-in. That's how they were doing a lot of the textures, in that sort of time where you just load a really low resolution version of everything, not too far away, but the game actually does a really fluid sort of pop-in. You don't really notice it all that much unless you're looking for it. I think I had a couple of moments where a few big packs of guards just spawned on top of me. I'm just like, oh, holy hell, this is rubbish. They just fell out of the sky onto the pavement and started attacking me. But once in all those hours of playing, it's not bad. Everything looks great. It doesn't need like a texture pack or anything. It's just really good. Everybody's very detailed. All the guys have mouth movement and everything else. So everyone's got such great animations in Assassin's Creed. Little bit of repeated voice. I think the first 10 times I rescued a guy from the bully guards, he said the exact same line. Sometimes it's the exact same voice actor, sometimes it's just the same line through a couple of voice actors. Not all that great, but whatever. It's going to sound like I'm using a bit of my, future vision here to comment on something here, but the fighting in Assassin's Creed, there's not a lot of stealth to it. I couldn't find a way to stealth attack almost anyone in the thing. There's a few bits where they make you walk up behind an archer and make sure he's looking the wrong way, and you can have your little hand dagger and kill him with push. But a lot of the times, what they really want you to do is just run up and just fight people in a brawl. And the thing, what I mentioned about the future vision, is that it seems a lot like swashbuckling pirates. You all take out a fencing style of sword, and you're back and forth fencing with a knife and a sword. Just that's a very finesse style weapon, very long sword, small guard, and it's a bit weird. It's not very assassin-y, or how you perceive like assassins and ninjas and all of that kind of stealth game. That you just run up and start brawling with the guys. A bit unusual. And every time I got up to one of the bosses, I kept on frustratingly remembering either Assassin's Creed 2 or Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, which is sort of the third one, being able to actually do assassin kills on these people. But it didn't really turn out like that. I may have been missing something there, but yeah, not great. The level layout, it's interesting. You've got these cities, and they're divided in such a way that you've got the 3 areas. You come back to each city 3 times, and I suppose it's fine, but it didn't need all 3 of them to be exactly the same in that regard. And in fact, for a lot of the game, you think, oh man, this is just going to repeat forever. Walk in, find the details about a guy, jump in and do the pub brawl that they have you do. But then they throw you that one where you walk into a trap. You're stuck in the warehouse with the guy. And it's just like, aha, I bet you thought you was going to come over and kill me, but now I've trapped you in. And they actually do throw that curveball in a very cool way, is that they show you, look, we know that we had to do the game in a way so that it looked like it was just going to repeat boringly, but we understand that you've just done this 3 times, so here's a 4th one that's a bit odd. And that's kind of cool. But generally, dividing it into 3 just makes it very predictable, and I think the worst bit, the bit that I really want to rant about, is that outside map where you can walk between the 3 different massive cities and the assassin town. That's just weird. There's nothing really out there other than the flags for the Xbox achievements and whatever. And it's just crummy. It doesn't give you a sense of a grand world, which is, I think, why they wanted you to walk the places rather than having a loading screen. It's very frustrating out there. You have to either go fast on the horse and put up with the beeping sound that's constantly on and being attacked by the guards, or you go slow on the horse and it takes all effing day. And I suppose that does make it feel like it's a big world, but not in a great way. And then you've got the fact that the assassins live in a very open town in the fort at the end of it, and it's just like, oh, where are you going to take your holidays? I guess I'll take my holiday this year in Assassin Town. It's just up the road. There's a big sign for the town, and the assassins just live in the castle, and I hope they don't jump down during my holiday and just slit my throat or nothing, but it's a bit odd. It's very overt, not covert for an assassin building. Why would you do that? So I don't know what order I'm going to put all these in, but that just reminded me on the last bit that I recorded, despite whichever order this ends up in, that the beeping sound in Assassin is so annoying. That is not very well designed. Just the bit where it's alert beeping at maximum volume in your ears, and I don't think it's got a separate slider in the sound settings, is just crazy. It's supposed to be there to jog you, to make sure that you know that you've got yourself in a bad position, but it just beeps at the weirdest of times. Like there's a bit where constantly you're under red alert because you've performed the assassination and they are looking for you. But if you're doing anything than holding the slowest, most stumbly of walk, the red beep just beeps at you. And it's, oh my god, some of those walks back from the assassin base are so long, and it's either walk slowly and take all year or put up with the beeping in your ear. So that was a bad choice. I think it's better in the later games. I really remember it being better, but it was a long time ago. And I'm getting to them next. Ah, the rooftops. The rooftops being full of the archers all the time. You think assassin and stealth and crawling around where people aren't looking. People spend their daily lives. They're on the ground floor. They're looking dead ahead or at the floor, at the people around them. They're trying not to get their pocket pouch with all their money stolen, and for that kind of time period. You're not just looking up all the time. And yet, during Assassin's Creed, where you think, oh well, I'll just go the top way then, no one will find me, there's just archers everywhere, and they don't care what you're doing, what you're looking like, no matter how still you are. They're just like, you're on the roof as well, and you're not an archer, so I'm gonna riddle you with arrows. It's weird just to shoot people for using their rooftop. I can't see it. You're hanging, you're washing on a line on the rooftop, and this archer just kills you. Mad design. The story goes through so much repetition in places. You've got, nobody in the Assassin's Guild just likes you, and they just like to remind you that they really hate you and how crap you are. And the master guy just constantly tells you about how crummy you are as well, and that he's going to give you one more chance, and that every time you go back to him, just one more chance. Don't question me, but question everything. It's fitting with the way that he's supposed to be kind of subverting you to his cause, and he's just messing you around until he can get his hand on the hypno crystal. But it's a bit boring. It doesn't really go anywhere, Assassin's Creed. Other than a couple of reveals and a couple of twists, it kind of stagnates, and you just end up doing the same rubbish. They have you find out all these clues about the assassination attempts, but they don't really matter. You just crawl, and then you run, and then you sit on a bench. None of the tips seem to be very helpful. Just like, oh yeah, you can crawl out over the back way over the fence. Well, really, you can crawl over any fence. Doesn't really matter. All the tips are really useless. Odd. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you make it a bit more, there is one great way out of there, and someone will give you the tip for that if you question quite a few of them, but it's... Running up walls and things is actually really cool. I think that's where it really started kicking off in a lot of games, where they just want you to just parkour up all the walls and whatever. Assassin's Creed, I think that's where a lot of it got started again, and it is fun just saying, look, I'm gonna scale that. I mean, look how crazy that thing is. I guess there's a lot of clues in a lot of places that there's going to be some footholds on it, but not always, and it just looks great doing it. I think later on some of the other games you can hold one of the sprint toggles, and you can get up that wall a lot faster. Altair is very slow going up the walls, and I think that's the only thing about it. But it is really cool to be able to get to these other places, you know, maybe find some secrets up there in some of the other games. I mean, there's the flags in this, but you know, finding some decent stuff just by exploring, even just finding a good view by exploring is great. But the views on top of the tower things, the way they force you to go through that cutscene, isn't as good as some of the climbing itself. The sound is genuinely really good. You know, once you get into an area where the game's not beeping at you, it's really nice. Like, a lot of it is obscured by all that obnoxious beeping, but the hustle and bustle of the city is very good. It's not very loopy. It's not very jarring. It doesn't just jump out at you as really annoying. I think the only other thing that I didn't cover other than the beeping was that the town crier guys kind of just loop really annoyingly, and they'll say a lot of their dialogue again when you go to do any missions about them, but it's not that bad. It's not the worst thing in the world, except when you're trying to climb up the tower. They seem to always be next to one of those discovery towers, and I always regretted not doing the mission first before climbing up the tower, but then you might have to backtrack because you end up following them to places usually and beating them up, so sound, generally, very nice. The ending! What were they thinking? It just, you know, you have a fairly decent ending with the end boss, and then you go back to playing Desmond, who is Dallas Dishwater, and he walks in his room and just goes, oh my god, there's a secret Assassin Vision message written here in blood. Well, for a start, it's obviously not blood. You can't see it during the daytime. And then, if it's magic blood, you don't get any explanation for it. You don't get any explanation at all. He just sees it, and then it's roll credits. That is it. What a crappy way to end your game. I know television does this all the time, and, you know, some of the movies that we're getting, you know, especially lately, like Lord of the Rings, or, well, not that lately, but the Avengers, when they want to do a multi-parter thing, they just say, and then find out next time. You shouldn't do that with your game. You don't know if you're going to get funding for your next game. You're not sure if you're going to get it for a film, but you're going to hear a lot earlier about it. You know, you don't have to wait for it to be packed up, polished off, done to your discs, and sold and shipped and sales, and make sure there's no refunds. Because your film's in the cinema, you're going to find out a lot quicker. You know, before you get your DVD sales or whatever else. It's weird. It's a weird thing to do, to just, you know, kind of have the end of your game and then a bit at the end that says, oh yeah, it's not the end of the game, but here's a revelation that you can't get past unless we get the okay to do another one. Maybe they did already know, but even then you should finish a game as it is, and then, you know, sequel comes in and says, but really, or, and then. So, is it worth the purchase to personally play through? Do you get that much out of the experience of playing it? Not really. I think the first Assassin's Creed game is such a clunker with the controls and things, and so empty air with the story, that you could just watch somebody's YouTube video if they'd, you know, cut all the bits of story together and gotten rid of all the, you know, the gameplay. That you could just quickly watch it as a backstory to, you know, the Assassin's Creed brand, and play one of the more modern ones where the controls are a bit more fun and you've got the chance to actually assassinate someone. So yeah, you know, it's not going to cost you a lot of money these days, and you can wait for it to be on a sale and you can pick it up, but you know, I wouldn't say rush out and buy the first Assassin's Creed if you don't already own it. It's not absolutely timeless. It's okay. Pretty good. You can see why they made a load of sequels and they didn't completely bomb, but you're never going to say it's the best game of all time and go back and play it 100 times over. Once through, find out what happens, just in case they reference it in a later on Assassin's Creed game, and boom, you're done. So here's a bit that I'm going to record for and just splice into all of my review videos, and it's not going to be the like, comment, subscribe, notifications on, check out my videos, you know, not any of that rubbish, but it's going to be all of my opinions here have been based on the fact that you just saw me, or you could have just saw me, let's play all the way through it. And because I'm not going up on the internet and then looking up all the details of the game that I just played for anything that I missed, I may have missed something. So if there's some mechanic or button combination that you press that makes the gameplay totally different, and that was entirely my problem with it, and there's enough comments about how I did the game wrong, I missed the most important thing, I will go back and I will install the game again if I've deleted it off the hard drive. I've got so many of these to get through, I might have done. But I'll go back and I'll play through it with the thing, and I'll say, oh, fair enough, I missed something. Maybe the tooltips and the tutorials didn't tell you well enough about the thing, and here you go. And then I'll change what I say. Well, I can't go back and change the video, but I'll do another video that says, oh, my bad. So this was great about that game. I was wrong.